Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a album review for what is quickly becoming one of my favorite albums of the year. Now, I just did a video not too long ago where I was talking about 5 albums that I'm really digging this year, and one of those that I showed was the latest from Old Crow Medicine Show, their album Union Made. Now, those of you that are longtime subscribers of my channel know I'm a huge Old Crow Medicine Show fan. They not only make some really good music, but I'm very proud of them because they are a very Virginia band. Ketch Secor, the founding member, leader of the band, at one time hailed from Harrisonburg, Virginia, where he kind of cut his teeth in the music world, playing at places like the Little Grill Collective, playing in Charlottesville, Virginia, kind of just hanging around the Shenandoah Valley, playing music wherever he could get a gig, with his buddies. Critter Fuquay was part of that group, Willie Watson. The group has since gone through a number of lineup changes. Pretty much every album you look at, there's somebody new playing, but Ketch remains at the core of the group, as well as founding bassist Morgan Janning, who has played on pretty much all of their major releases, with the exception of a couple of albums before their big breakthrough. He was on their kind of debut album, so to speak, the one that had Wagon Wheel on it, OCMS, which was the first. I've seen Old Crow a number of times. They're always great, always fun. They always do really fun cover songs. They really honor American music. Now, what's so great about Old Crow is they're all about unity. They're all about bringing their fan base together. Old Crow, obviously, they play a lot of country influenced music now. They used to play a lot more string music, mountain music. They have influences in folk, bluegrass, Americana, country, some rock. They, cite Bob Dylan as their biggest influence, and all of that comes through on their records. And they've done a numerous amount of styles in their music. Again, their first few albums, you're looking at pretty much your hardcore kind of string band stuff. And when I say hardcore, I mean like Die Hard. I don't mean like hardcore. So they have really gone from that to kind of going a little bit polished, working with producer Don Was. They have done kind of heartland music with some of their more recent music that sounds very John Mellencamp. Again, they also do kind of, classic Americana country music. They've covered artists live like the Beastie Boys before. They've covered Tom Petty before. They cover Tennessee Ernie Ford. They play 16 Tons. Again, they play Bob Dylan all the time. So all of that has kind of built itself up into this album. And I'm sorry for the glare. And that album is called Union Made. I guess I didn't really show the cover, but there's the Old Crow with the wrench. Union Made is based off of, the title is named after a Woody Guthrie tune by the same name that they played on, I believe, was it this album? Yes, which was just reissued, Big Iron World, for the first time on vinyl. Fantastic song. Check out the song Union Made. It's just a classic kind of folk anthem. I'm working for the union, I'm working for the union, that kind of thing. Just sounds a lot better than that. So this album is named after that. Now, this was put out in conjunction with the United States' 250th anniversary, which, again, this video is a album review. It's not necessarily a commentary on the state of the United States, but they kind of go hand in hand. So that's my trigger warning for folks. Old Crow have toured with a lot of different people, and they've had their voices ringing. They have their voices ringing loudly in Nashville and in the music world. They toured for a while with Hank Williams Jr., who is a notoriously more has a notoriously more conservative fan base than a lot of the Americana artists like Margot Price, people like that, who also works with Old Crow sometimes. And they were, I remember when they finished one of the tours with Hank Williams, they made a point to say that they weren't on that tour to cause any kind of divisiveness, because Old Crow as a unit generally are a little bit more progressive in their beliefs, if you want to use gun reform and say that that's progressive. You know, they were all about bringing the audience together. And I remember Ketch, the leader, he has a newsletter that I'm a part of through email that you should sign up for. He always does these beautiful essays about where Old Crow are, what their tour is, if they have new music coming out, whatever projects they're a part of. Ketch is a big advocate for Nashville's PBS station, and he does a lot for Nashville PBS. And they also have a documentary out called Louder Than Guns, which talks about gun reform in schools. So they're very active in seeking equality and justice, and having a more peaceful world to live in. As hippy dippy as that sounds, it's all pretty good stuff. And they said that when they toured with Hank Williams Jr., that they saw the audience, and they saw people who were the hippies in the tie-dyed, dancing and doing the spinning. They saw people wearing USA shirts, and they saw people wearing MAGA hats. And all of these people, for a brief moment while these songs were being played, were coming together, and they weren't thinking from the artist's perspective, looking out from the stage, they weren't thinking about the issues of the world. They were just there to have a good time with music. And that's what Old Crow does with their songs. And this album, which has a ton of guest stars on it, including kind of the modern folk singer Jesse Welles, who has a big social media following, Ray Benson from Asleep at the Wheel, the Del McCoury band, Del McCoury and Ronnie McCoury with Molly Tuttle, Evan Felker, Maggie Rose, John Carter Cash, and Anna Christina Cash. They're pulling in a lot of their friends and making some music that honors the core of what America should be. They are trying to get a point across that we need to be better than we are. And this album really does it in a way that is very tasteful. It's not a preachy album. Like, liberals, conservatives are going to listen to this album and they might hear different things, but neither group is going to want to turn the album off. So it's a very moderate record, which is kind of, where we need to get back to. And again, this record is there's something about it to me that is screaming, July 4th this year. It's screaming summertime. It's also screaming, there's something that's tugging at my heartstrings listening to this record, and longing for a more perfect union, so to speak. So again, there's a lot to say just for that title alone. Now let's get into the actual songs. That was a long kind of introduction, breaking down the record. You all know what records are. The album starts with this song with Jesse Welles called "Howdy Do America," which is just this great kind of Grand Ole Opry, welcome kind of song, and it's great. It's kind of reminiscent to me of the Grand Ole Opry song that the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band did, "Will the Circle Be Unbroken?" Then they go into this song called Lincoln Highway with Ray Benson from Asleep at the Wheel. So there's that little bit of kind of swing to this song. Ray kind of does this whole trucker persona during it. Great tune. One of the singles is track 3 with Del and Ronnie McCoury and Molly Tuttle, called My Side of the Mountain, which is just this very kind of gritty song that it has there's a darkness to it, but it's great. Just talking about, you know, how we do things living in the mountains. That was co-written by Luke Combs, which I was kind of surprised to see. But it starts off, it's a way of life, it's a way of thinking. It's running around these hills and hollers drinking. It's a patch of land to make my stand. That's the way of life on my side of the mountain. Just lots of great imagery there. The next song is called Revolution Now, which has, I know when my wife and I listened to it, this was a song she kind of thought was a little Bob Dylan-like. There was some great harmonica playing, and there's great harmonica playing on the whole thing. This one has Lee Oscar playing harmonica, who you might know from Lee Oscar harmonicas. But it's just again, a great, kind of revolution song. But again, not an in-your-face song. It's just, again, about making the whole thing better, making life better, because we need to. Track number 5 is the other single from the album before it came out, Last American Waltz with Molly Tuttle. Again, just a really pretty kind of love song with Ketch and his fiance, Molly Tuttle. This was co-written by Critter Fuquay, who I mentioned was an original member of Old Crow. He's no longer in the band. But just some of these beautiful lyrics like, kick up your heels, lay down your stones, roll over backwards in your sweet baby's arms, and rise like Lazarus. The band is beginning to play the last American waltz. Just some really touching lyrics. And then side A ends with this very fast-paced, full of information song called The Merrimack and the Monitor, which is about the really the one and only naval battle of the Civil War with the ironclad ships. And that's really, really interesting. Ketch is a historian. He knows so much about so many different things: music, history, geography. He's just a Renaissance man, and it's just a great tune about the battle of the Merrimack and the Monitor in 1862. Lots of Virginia references like Chesapeake, Hampton Roads, etc. So then we jump to side B, and we kind of get a little fun. They do a cover of the Merle Haggard classic Rainbow Stew, which came out in, I think, the early 80s. So that's a really fun little tune. Just kind of about this, idealistic world that doesn't exist, that we all kind of want to get to, this utopia of sorts. Then there's the song, which is a great tune. Number 8 is called Rye Whiskey, which is sung by Corey Younts of the band. So you don't have Ketch singing the main lead. You've got Mr. Corey there. And I should say, great lineup of the band. This is the first album in a few years without an official photo of Mike Harris, the guitar player, who is now touring with Noah Kahan. But he was kind of replaced by the guy that he kind of replaced, Joe Andrews. So you have Joe Andrews, you have PJ George of Salem, Virginia, which is around where I'm from. You've got Morgan Janning on the bass, Ketch Secor, Chance McCoy playing all sorts of different instruments. So does PJ. And then Corey, who played for a long time with Justin Townes Earl. So you got Rye Whiskey, just, again, a great tune written by Ketch. Just fun lyrics, just a great little country tune. He says stuff like, the last stanza is, there's a whole lot of trouble in the world today, but I keep on smiling and a-singing anyway. Rye whiskey, there ain't nothing that a sip won't do. Yeah, rye whiskey, there ain't nothing that a sip won't do. There is a deeper meaning to it than just, let's go out and get drunk. There's a little bit more to it. Then there's this fantastic song with Maggie Rose, who I didn't really know anything about, called Beautiful Land. That might be kind of for me, the whole the whole feel of the album kind of in that song. Just this great kind of Alan Toussaint, almost a horn section on there. Soulful lyrics with Maggie. Just to get an idea, one of the lyrics is, "People, many branches of a tree, how much longer will it be before we reach as one, torn apart and divided by the colors that we see, refusing to believe we're all in the same family." Just, again, beautiful lyrics, and all of these songs are so, they're so focused, and the placement on the record, and I love that. I think it's a great flow to the record. Then track 10, we get a little bit more fun. Ketch sings a song called Lewis and Clark, which is exactly what the song is about. Going through their cross country journey to the Pacific Ocean. Just a really fun tune. Classic Old Crow. Number 11, it's the song with John Carter Cash and Anna Christina Cash. It's called Y'all All Come, which has this very Jimmy Buffett kind of islandy feel to it. And it's really, really a cool song. Just about people, fussing and fighting. The whole hook is y'all all come together. Like, just get along, please. Just, that's all we need to do. But yeah, like, again, but they do it in such like a country fun way where they say, y'all work the same check, y'all drink the same beer, y'all love the same Jesus, and if he were here, he'd grab y'all both real hard by the ear and tell y'all all come together. Like, it's that kind of thing. So very, very cool. And then they close the record with another cover. They do a version of For What It's Worth written by Stephen Stills, done by the Buffalo Springfield. Fantastic, just a classic tune, and they pretty much stick true to the original arrangement. But I highly recommend this album. Again, it's got that little bit of it's got some meaning to it. It's got really good music. It's got great harmony. It's got the Old Crow, strings. It's got some fiddle, harmonica. It's got the Jimmy Buffett song on it. And then it's got some horns, kind of like, a record by the band with Alan Toussaint. So I highly, highly recommend Union Made by the Old Crow Medicine Show. My one complaint is not really a complaint, but I think there was a typo on the inner sleeve. So you see there, Old Crow Medicine Show, Union Made. Well, on this side, you have Old Crow Medicine Show, Union Mad. So maybe that's on purpose. I don't know. But anyway, y'all go get you a copy of Union Made by Old Crow Medicine Show. It's fantastic. Quite possibly could be their best in the last few years. I would say probably better than the last two. And the last two I love. But I think they really hit something with this album that makes me long for a better United States, because we can do better. That does it for me. Y'all be good, take care, and we will see you on the next one. Bye now.